Well, hello and welcome to the first Gary Goff show of the 2016 fall campaign. Fall time means football time, and if we're going to talk football, you start with this gentleman right here to my left, Mr. Gary Goff. Coach, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. It's football season.
Absolutely. Football season is the best time of year, and next Thursday, a week from tonight, it all gets started. But in order to get ready for that first game on September 1st up at Grand Valley State University, kids had to get into camp, had to get them, some of them whipped into shape, I'm sure, a little bit, and get them game ready. And I'm sure your kids have been working real hard this camp.
Well, they have. We had a great summer. We had close to 70 players stay all summer with Coach Ice and our strength coach. We actually reported to camp in great shape and stronger than ever. So it was a fantastic camp, to be honest.
Well, you brought in a great recruiting class to go along with some experience, maybe more experience on this team than what you've had in the past as your coach here at Tiffin University. Let's talk first about some of the young kids you brought in. Have there been any freshmen come in and kind of turning people's heads yet?
Most definitely. There's two that have had a phenomenal camp, and that's Jaquan Hardy and Kyle Brunson.
Okay.
Both highly recruited running backs. They had a great camp. We knew coming in that both of them were going to be really strong and compete for the job. But we feel, really we got three starting running backs right now, and obviously in Jerry Brown, who's a great, solid football player. But these two young men have come in and had a great camp. They've learned the offense. They are solid with their protection, and they're going to add another element to this offense.
Well, when we helped check the kids in, when the kids reported for the first day, some of these young freshmen running back here look like grown men already. Did not look like 17, 18-year-old kids. Look like they come in ready to play football, and you better be a grown man if you're going to play in this conference.
Well, and that's why both of them were highly recruited athletes. They both had numerous offers in not only the conference, but even in some larger schools and larger programs. And our coaching staff did a fantastic job signing those two recruits, and we went after both of them very hard because we knew they'd add another element to not only our offense but to our program. So you're going to see them both on the field next Thursday night and doing a lot of different things for us.
Does it feel weird to say next Thursday night yet?
It does.
Wow. A week from tonight, we'll be on the field. A week from this time right now, getting final warm-ups in. We'll be doing our final testing on our equipment up there at Grand Valley State University, and it's going to be a fun place to get the season started against a pretty darn good football team.
Oh, the atmosphere will be like nothing else. Mm-hmm. I mean, it'll be a great atmosphere. Our team, our coaching staff, our trainers, everybody involved is really, really excited to go up there and take on, the number 3 team in the country. And what better way to start your season off to have that kind of test, and we'll find out real fast of just how good we are.
Well, you mentioned your coaches. Your offensive coordinator, defense coordinator is going to join us on the program, and throughout the year, throughout the season when we're having a program, we're going to have different coaches on, we'll have different players on. We'll probably bring the captains on first, and after that we'll bring on some kids who have been doing some really nice things. Kids have been working hard, kind of throw them a bone and bring them out here and get them on the program. So I'm sure the coaches, I don't know if they're excited about it, maybe look at it as more work, but get to come out here and promote the program. It's still a little bit of fun.
Oh, what a great atmosphere here. We had a large group of our players work here at Buffalo Wild Wings all summer. Some of them are still working here, and we've got a night practice set up tonight, but each Thursday night when we have this show, you're going to see a lot of our players in here interacting with a lot of people, and they take ownership in Buffalo Wild Wings right now.
Well, I think there was 17 or 18 of your young football players, student athletes who were working out here this summer, and Mike and his crew out here, they talked about those kids, how great they were, and happy to welcome back when the season's over. So that says a lot about their character, that hey, an employer will say, you just take time off and go work with Coach Goff, and you're done with that, you come back here and hang out with us some more.
They better have great character.
They better. They better. Well, next Thursday night, as we said, at Grand Valley is the opening game for the Dragons, and we'll run through the entire schedule later on at the end of the program. But you look at that first game, Coach, and they're preseason number 3 ranked team in the country, if I remember correctly, and a lot of times they're ranked high just because their name's Grand Valley State University, but this team's bringing back a lot of pretty darn good football players, and they probably deserve a fairly high recognition.
Well, let's not forget this team, they were a game away for playing for the national championship last year, and they're returning everybody but a couple of starters on the offensive line, and then their defensive end who was drafted, and they're going to reload right back in that position. So, defensively, they got a large number of seniors returning, and same thing on offense. They got a preseason All-American at a linebacker, a preseason All-American receiver. So, they're extremely talented. They're a great football program traditionally, and that's who they are. But we're more concerned about Tiffin University and our program, and we feel like we've made great strides, not only over the last several years, but just in the last few months.
Right.
I mean, it speaks volumes of our program from where it came from to have close to 70 student athletes here all summer. When they're here on their own, and they're working at places like this across the town to be able to afford to eat and take classes this summer and be with our strength coach. So, we've got a very committed football team. We got a great group of young men, and then on top of all that, we got a lot of talent around us right now.
Yeah, probably the most talented team we've had here at Tiffin University since you've been the leader of the program. And that game last year with Grand Valley, was that 49-42 game? Was that the game that was last year?
It was.
That was one of the craziest games that I've been around as a broadcaster. But it's a game that when you look back at it, you put up 42 points on somebody, you'd like to get that win. But we'll talk to Coach Edwards about the defense. I think the defense is going to be a little bit stronger for you Dragons than what you did last year.
Well, we're very talented on that side of the ball. Our defensive line, much like Grand Valley's, is very deep and very talented. We spent a lot of time, money, and effort in recruiting some defensive players this year, and people are going to see some players on that side of the ball that they hadn't seen in the past. And Dejon Isbell, Nick Lewis, we got DJ Edwards back. I mean, so we've got some depth on the defensive side of the ball, and they've had a great camp. I tell you, I'm tired of seeing our defense out there. I'm tired of trying to go against them every day. And they might know not only their plays like the back of their hand, but I'm pretty sure they know our offensive plays as well. But no, they have a lot of talent, so I'm excited to see them take the field next week.
Who's winning camp so far, offense, defense?
It's been a great tie.
It's been a great tie.
One day defense is great, next day offense is. But I tell you what, the last 4 or 5 practices, it's been like a heavyweight fight out there. I mean, we've seen big plays on both sides of the ball. I mean, just 2 practices ago, I saw some plays out of our linebackers and secondary that I haven't seen here in a long time. And those guys have really bought into what we're doing defensively. And like I said, I can't wait to see those guys take the field. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, which one of your coaches would you like to bring up to the hot seat first? You want to talk some offense? You want to talk some defense?
Well, while we're on the defense side of the ball, we might as well bring Coach Edwards up here and,
all right, come on up,
and
Coach.
let him brag about his side for a little bit.
Well, Matt Edwards, the defensive coordinator here for the Tiffin University Dragons, will be our next guest. Matt Edwards, he's a defense coordinator for the Tiffin University Dragons, and let's first of all talk about how hard your kids have been working here in camp. They put in the effort you've been looking for?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the things that we emphasize. It all starts with effort on our side of the ball. Great effort can make up for mistakes. It can make up for a bad play call, and as long as we're playing hard, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about the depth perspective of the defense. Just compare the depth that you're going to have this year compared to what it was when you got here.
Well, we've made a concerted effort through recruiting and through player development to make sure that we're developing more quality depth, and we're at a place right now as a program where we feel like we have that, and it starts up front with the defensive line. They've done an unbelievable job, and you want to talk about a commitment. These guys have made a great commitment, and it started all the way back in summer. One, being here in town, working out with our strength coach, but one of the most impressive things that some of these guys have done is they've changed their bodies. And a lot of that's with Coach Ison in the weight room, but a lot of it, those guys have been working as hard in the kitchen as they have out on the playing field or in the weight room. We've had guys make huge gains of strength, huge gains in weight, and what I think it's going to lead to is a more physical defense, which is something that we've preached about, and it's not so much a mentality, just that physically we're bigger and we're stronger than we have been in the past.
Well, you have to be, right? And playing football in this conference, you have to be a physical defense, and that was some of our problems in the past. We didn't have defensive linemen who could take on the blockers, let the linebackers roam free. And defensive line, you mentioned a little bit ago, defensive line, there's quite a bit of returning talent on that defensive line.
Absolutely. We're bringing back some experienced players. They know what this conference is about. They know that week in, week out, it's going to be a war down there. And now we feel because of our depth, we're going to be a little bit fresher throughout the whole season.
But let's talk a little bit more about the linebacking core. We mentioned the defensive line linebacking core. You got some experience coming back there as well. Talk about some of the guys, maybe surprising you a little bit in camp in that linebacking core.
Well, I think the linebackers have had a good camp overall. Been very impressed with Terry Harper. He's a senior. We anticipate guys playing their best football as seniors,
right.
and he's had a great camp.
I've said his name a lot in the past during the ball games. He's got a nose for the football.
Absolutely. So we're really excited where Terry's at. Obviously, Morgan Logan Lloyd returning for his third year here at middle linebacker. He's kind of the captain of the defensive front. He gets
academic
everybody
All-American
lined up.
as well.
Exactly. He's a smart guy.
He's a real smart guy.
Which really helps, and it's a great testament to him. He's smart in the classroom. He's also smart on the football field, which is a huge bonus for us.
Absolutely.
We're really excited about a young kid, Jacob Murtis. He's had a tremendous camp, and then you add some other guys sprinkled in like Nick Lewis and Sean Johnson, some guys that maybe were at safety last year. They've moved up into the box, and we're going to try to use their athleticism a little bit more.
I think I was going to ask you about the positional changes as well, because I think you got some guys in the secondary who maybe have switched some spots in the secondary. Is that about getting the best athletes on the field, getting the best football players on the field?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Stephon Willis primarily, we moved him from safety out to corner. We love his length, and we feel like he can be a very good corner in this conference, and he can help us do some of the things that we want to do coverage-wise.
How about that? Who's going to fill that spot in the back end then with Stephon moving up to the corner spot?
Well, the nice thing is with Juan Nelson returning from last year, Juan kind of got thrown into the mix week 3 because of an injury, and he was one of those guys that when he stepped in, he never turned the starting role back over, and we really like the way that Juan played, gaining DJ Stewart back.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that as well.
And then we've added some other players to the mix, with Dejan Isbell, Carrington Conti, a year more mature.
He had a lot of minutes last year as well.
Absolutely. And then some of the other corner positions, we've got Trey Scott, who started a lot of football games around here, and then Ross Moore, a younger kid who we're really excited about, Romel Bell, a guy who's played a lot of football. So we feel like we've got some quality depth, and we're hoping that we can maybe roll some guys in and out and keep people fresh.
Absolutely, especially keeping guys fresh. You see that at the next level with the defensive lineman, having that depth on the defensive line, be able to keep fresh bodies in there, and it really puts a lot of pressure on that offensive line, especially if they're a little nicked up or don't have the depth that you have on the defensive side. Being able to rotate those fresh bodies in is a huge advantage that we really haven't had on our defensive line in the past.
Absolutely, and because of this depth, we've always kind of believed that to play as hard as we need our guys to play to be successful, they're not going to be able to play 80 straight plays.
Right.
We're going to have to get some guys out there, and what we're hoping is the only thing that changes is the name on the jersey or the number on the jersey.
Right.
That next guy's not a step down. He's going to go in there and he's going to give it his all, and then we just keep rolling and throwing fresh bodies at people.
Well, speaking of throwing, do you tell the coach sometimes, hey, back off on that air raid offense? My defensive needs a little bit of rest here. Can you how about a 7 or 8 play drive, coach, to have a quick hitter there for a quick 6?
You know what? The great thing about the offense is that even when they throw the ball, it's a ball control offense.
Right.
Some of our short passes are our running game, and then some of the additions that we've made at running back. You want to talk about a struggle. Defending these guys in fall camp, they are explosive.
I was going to ask you that before we went over to Coach Neugebauer, but talk a little bit about, you see the offensive guys from a different standpoint than what the offensive coaches see them. I'm sure just the coach in your brain, you start kind of scouting them a little bit. Has there been some of those young guys on that offensive side that kind of turned your head and thought, wow, thank goodness they're on this team and not wearing a different jersey?
Well, it starts with those young running backs. And I tell you who's done a great job. Jerry Brown has been an unbelievable mentor for those guys. And they've kind of stepped right up, and the offense is rolling. And, the difficult thing about our offense, you can't focus on just one guy.
Right.
You've got Antonio Pipkin, you've got Jalen Santoro, you've got Charles Holland, now you've got these Jerry Brown, you've got these young backs. We've got an offensive line that's played a lot of games, different guys up there. They're tough.
Absolutely. We're talking to the defensive coordinator, Matt Edwards, Tiffin University Dragons. You had a chance, I'm sure, to look at Grand Valley on the offensive side. What kind of problems do they pose for your Dragons as you get ready to face them next Thursday night?
Well, they're a very talented team. They're bringing back a quarterback who's touted as one of the best.
Some people, I've seen him as like a third-team All-American preseason.
Absolutely, and he's got a great set of players around him. They've got players at every position. They're returning 3 or 4 starters up front. In the backfield, they've got a young kid that's taken over the starting role, but he played a lot of football for him last year. And then out at the wide receiver, they've got great depth as well. They do lose the Potts kid, who was a tremendous football player.
Yeah, he was a good ball player.
But they've got a lot of skill. So they present some challenges.
You going to do anything different this year? You're going to change up your blitz scheme, maybe blitzing a little bit more? I know you can't give away secrets, but you going to be doing anything to kind of just change things up a little bit? Anything a little bit different on the defensive side this year?
You know, I think we do want to have an attacking style of defense. I think that's fun to play in, but most importantly, we're going to do what our players can do best, and we want to be multiple in our approach. You know, we want to zone blitz, we want to man blitz, we want to play zone coverage, we want to play man coverage, we want to keep people off balance, so when they go back after a series, they're saying, well, what are they doing? Well, they're doing everything.
Right. Yeah. Then talk a little bit about, you mentioned Jerry Brown being that mentor on the offensive side. Who's that mentor on the defensive side? Who's that upperclassman that you've seen kind of taking the reins as being that leader that you really need on the defensive side of the ball?
You know, I really couldn't single one guy out, but I tell you something I've seen more this year. Players coaching players.
All right.
It's been awesome to watch. You know, you see seniors or guys that was a starters when the backup comes off or when a young kid comes off, you know, they're grabbing those kids and they're making the corrections, which is awesome for us coaches because we can focus on the next play.
Right.
While they're helping each other develop, and the players are at a point now where they're confident enough in their knowledge that they can go out and they can do that. It's been tremendous.
It's awesome. Pretty awesome stuff. The defense is much improved from when Coach Goff got here, but he inherited to what we have now, the amount of athletes. You talk about the athletes on the offensive side of the ball. You can talk about the athletes on the defensive side of the ball as well. You got some great athletes out there, especially in your secondary. You got linebackers that can run. You got defensive end that look like they could be power forwards on our basketball team. So you have a nice stable of athletes yourself.
We're very excited. And you know what? On top of the athleticism, what will separate this group is they love to play and they love to play hard.
They love being a Dragon.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach Edwards, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure you'll join us again on the program throughout the year, but I can't wait. I'm so darn excited for next Thursday night. This whole season I'm excited for, and it's just going to be a whole lot of fun, and hopefully we don't get into these 42-49 shootouts anymore. Hopefully we keep those numbers down. I'm sure you have in your mind a number you'd like to see the points per game under, and hopefully those kids can reach that goal.
Just one less than the other team.
That's all we need, isn't it? All right.
Less than our team.
His name's Matt Edwards. He's the defense coordinator for the Tiffin University Dragons. Offense. And we're going to talk offense with the offensive coordinator, Adam Neugebauer. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing real well, sir. So let's talk a little bit about offense. Everybody likes to talk offense. That's for that's what you see on Sports Center. That's what everybody likes. People like the point. So when you talk Tiffin University offense, you don't want to single out one guy all the time, but you see him right there. Antonio Pipkin is where it all starts and ends with the Dragon offense.
For sure. I mean, he's definitely kicked it up the next level ever since the season ended. He has put the extra time in. He is sacrificing. I mean, that's a word I use big time with the quarterbacks and the offense. But he has sacrificed time and time again to put all the effort he can to get the chemistry down, the wideouts, and just team bonding with the whole team. So I'm very proud about what he has done so far.
How about the leadership aspect of being a quarterback? That's as important and tangible as anything. How has he accepted that leadership role? I mean, he was a leader before, but as a senior, you really got to embrace that.
I mean, yes, more this year than any other year. He's a leader, and he can point to a certain person to do this, do that, but also Santoro, he stepped up as well to be another leader, and the chemistry between Santoro and Pipkin, not just on the field but off the field, about certain decisions to make, bonding, and decisions off the field are sometimes difficult. I mean, he has definitely stepped it up as well. So,
well, the first two guys you mentioned are just good kids too. That's a nice thing about it. Not to have these kids who are great athletes and great football players, but it's nice to be able to talk about them being good kids as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it just shows our coaching staff trying to build a tough attitude, discipline, morals and standards, and our leaders and our captains holding those values to a higher standard as well, and making sure that our younger players learn about that.
Well, Coach Edwards mentioned Jerry Brown, and he also mentioned those young running backs, those freshman running backs coming in. Let's transition from the quarterback spot. We'll come back to the quarterback spot, and we'll talk a little bit about your depth there after a few minutes. But let's talk about the running back spot. Jerry Brown's been on that field since he walked on here as a freshman. Having these two young running backs are probably going to, I think Jerry's probably accepting this because he's been the workhorse. He's got a few less hits he's got to take, but it's going to keep him a little fresh, I would think. It's probably been pretty nice seeing those guys all working together in camp.
Absolutely. I mean, Coach Gilbert, our running backs coach, he's been coaching
he's here
football.
Somewhere.
Yeah, he's over there. But he's been been coaching football for quite some time, and he knows more about football than anyone in this building. And you could just see the way the freshmen have handled themselves in camp, and it shows a lot about Coach Gilbert's coaching and also Jerry Brown, like you mentioned. I mean, he's not a selfish player. He corrects them when they're wrong, and he congratulates them when they do a great job. So that's not easy to sit back sometimes and see the reps that you want, but he knows that it's the best for the team, and we're going to put Jerry in the best situation possible. So
yeah, I can see a guy who's a senior thinking these two freshmen coming in, you're taking my carries away. I'm not going to help you. The quicker you learn, the harder it's going to be for me. It's awesome to see him accepting that role and putting the team first instead of the individual stuff.
For sure, and a lot of the times, the O-line does not get the credit they deserve, and there's been some big-time holes, this camp and this past last season, and it speaks big time on, Coach Maruki and, our O-line coach when he came over from Toledo. He has added another element to Coach Goff and I's, the way we think about offensively of running the ball, and, it's really helped our offense grow and mature.
Yeah, people forget, people just may not know, you were a quarterback for Coach Goff before, so now you're working for him as the offense coordinator. I'm sure between you two talking, the word run probably doesn't come out very often.
Yeah, at times,
air raid.
At times, we got to have them say, hey, run the ball, because we do want to throw that ball, but we got some talent back there.
Well, you mentioned the offensive line. Let's talk about the offensive line. You have some more experience than you've ever had at the offensive line. Camp can be rough on offensive linemen. Let's talk about how they're, how we're looking going into the start of the season. Some guys moving positions around, but you're going to have a good core out there. The 5 we put out there, no matter who it is or where it is, it's going to be 5 good football players.
I mean, I think the biggest person to talk about there is Mason Butler. I mean, he's going to be a junior. He is one of the strongest players on the team, and he is just a guy that everyone loves. He is a very lovable guy, but he's also on the field. He's a warrior, and everyone respects him. Everyone goes to him for advice, and he really is the leader of that O-line. And people listen to him when he wants to, be commander.
It's important when it's your center, too. It's important for your center to be that commanding officer of your offensive line, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a real smart kid, which also is important for your center to have.
Yes, he's very, very smart, and sometimes he even, helps Antonio out on the field. Hey, we got to do this, we got to do that. So, with the chemistry between those two, it's very dangerous between center and quarterback.
Well, the offensive line, sometimes there's another guy that lines up right next to the offensive line. They call it a tight end. Are you going to use any of those this year?
We got a freshman tight end, Reed Martin, who's opened our eyes. Coach Furman, a guy who played at Penn State, he was a tight end long snapper, and he's done a great job with the tight ends to add another element to our offense. And Reed stayed all summer, Reed Martin, and he's gotten a lot stronger, a lot more confident in our offense, and he does some things that could help us this year.
Well, now we'll transition to the wide receiving core, and one of the best athletes in the conference, and Charles Holland, we call him Mega Dragon, one of the best athletes in the conference out there as a wideout. And you mentioned Jalen Santoro. You got some good, there's Mason right there. You got some good football players who are tremendous athletes, and they sure can catch the football.
I've never seen a wideout core this talented. We hired Coach Horn over from Ashland. He got here right after spring, and he's done a phenomenal job as far as technique and just basically starting from scratch and working the way up as far as technique-wise. He played in the NFL. He knows the GLIAC better than anyone on staff. He played in it, and then he coached in it. He's doing a great job, and with the additions of Tyler Denton, a transfer from Indiana State, Jordan Nobles, and like you said, Charles Holland. It's just going to be a fun group.
Yeah, Charles' ceiling is, who knows where his ceiling is, probably as high up as he wants it. But you mentioned Denton, the transfer from Indiana State, doing some great things, and Jordan Nobles making a change from the backfield to the wide receiving core.
Yeah, he's stepped in, in the slot position for us, and he's a really fast receiver. Worked on his hands all spring, all summer, and he has done a great job competing for that role, and he's going to have a great year for us.
Well, we mentioned Antonio Pipkin earlier, and we got to talk about some of the other quarterbacks on the roster. Let's talk a little bit about the quarterback depth that you have right now.
Yeah, we got a transfer, Jihad Vercher, a JUCO transfer from California, and he has actually done a phenomenal job in the spring to the summer to fall camp. He's made Pipkin a better player because now, Antonio sees I have a guy that's going to compete for this job, and Jihad is a talented quarterback, and then in addition of Nick Watson and Hunter Fentress, these freshman quarterbacks, there's some depth there that there's not a lot of air right there. We got to make sure that we keep them going, and there's a ton of depth, like you said.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a few wrinkles up your sleeve for this year that you don't want to divulge right now. But as you prepare for week 1 up at Grand Valley State University, let's talk a little bit about them on the defensive side and what problems they may pose for us.
I mean, they return 10 returning starters. They lose Jude. Yes. I mean, they're fast. They're athletic. They do a great job disguising the coverages, stunts. They're very, very athletic. We just got to play to our strengths and play our game. But they are, very talented, and we're looking forward to playing them next Thursday.
Next Thursday night, as you said, 7 p.m. start, and hopefully they'll have the game on up here at BW3s. Hopefully they'll be able to get that put up on the board. I talked to Grand Valley State today, and they told us what we need to do. And all of our road games are going to put up here on the TVs for us here. They're home games, we want you down at the stadium, but the road games, if you can't travel with the Dragons, if there's an emergency or something, we'll understand. Otherwise, you get you on out here and you watch the Dragon football games. But Coach Neugebauer, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure you'll be on the program. I know this is your favorite thing to do. We'll get you on the program again throughout the season. But I can remember the first couple of times you came on with Coach Goff and I just think Coach Goff enjoyed messaging you as much as he did having you on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
So you owe him sometime, all right? So, Coach, we had a chance to talk to your 2 coordinators, and they seem just as excited as you are to get this thing going.
Yeah, and we on?
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm still confused. We're talking run game. I'm not sure what
run game
all
is
about.
R-U-N. Sometimes they hand it to the guy who stands behind the quarterback. Sometimes, but
yeah, I don't know if Coach Neugebauer's been sitting over there at the bar somewhere. But he's talking run game. What's up with that?
I don't know. Yeah.
No, as you can tell, we're all very excited.
Right.
And like I said, our kids have done a great job all summer, and we've had a great camp. The coaching staff, I couldn't be more excited about them. And it's the first time in a long time we've had continuity on the staff. We did pick up, a new coach and Coach Joe Horn.
Yep.
Like, Noogie said, he has played in the conference and very knowledgeable receivers coach and had a cup of coffee in the league for a little bit. So we're very happy to add him. But outside of that, everybody's back. And, we work well together. It's a long season. It's a lot of hard work by everybody involved, not only our staff, but administration, yourself, your staff. But we're excited. It's football season. It's finally here. We get to kick things off with number 3 Grand Valley State,
right,
which is going to be a blast, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, when the preseason rankings came out, I don't think the Dragons are going to sneak up on anybody this year. Tiffin's the team that a lot of people are thinking is the team that can do some damage this year, and I'm right there with them. Coach, like I said, I said this to you hundreds of times. I'm super stoked. I'm so excited for this football season. It's hard to believe that it's here already. I mean, high school football starts tomorrow. There might be some high school games tonight, actually, to get started here around the state. But, yeah, next Thursday, the game at Grand Valley State, and then we come home for Davenport, a team who will be in the conference as they're making that transition from NAIA to NCAA.
Yeah, no, that's an up-and-coming program as well. I think they do play this week, so they'll have a couple of games, under their belt before we play them. But, they got beautiful facilities up there. The coaching staff is very well-known coaches. They're going to do a great job recruiting. So, it was an opportunity. We lost a game when Malone left the conference.
Right.
We were looking for a game to pick up, and they were looking for a GLIAC opponent to kind of, get into. So it just worked out, and we've got them at home, and following that, we've got Hillsdale at home. So we'll have a nice run at home here in several weeks.
Yeah, it's nice to fill that open spot with a team coming here as compared to what we did last year with a big long
Alabama
road trip.
Was fun, wasn't it?
It was interesting. It was one of my favorite stories from ever broadcasting, going to set up at the game down in Selma. And your phone line's right over there. I plugged into it, no dial tone, and followed on the line to where it was cut and tied in a knot. So that phone line didn't work.
Well, that's because one of the officials was on the phone during the game. That's why.
That is also as well. Folks don't know, Coach Goff had to tell an official to get off of his cell phone during the game down in Selma, Alabama last year.
Only in Alabama.
Only in Alabama. But hey, you know what? The Dragons came home with a W, and that's really all that matters. As the coach said, on the 17th will be our homecoming contest. Hillsdale in town. We'll have our Hall of Fame banquet on Friday night as well, and then go up to Wayne State, your final game in September. That's a big win for the Dragons a couple years ago, going up there and getting that win, and it's going to be another tough place to play. They're usually a pretty darn good football team. Big, mean linebackers usually.
Absolutely. But, show me a conference game on our schedule that's not a challenge. So, once again, we got to worry about Tiffin University and worry about how well we play. We've got to, execute. We can't make, stupid mistakes,
right,
and got to cut out all the negative plays. And if we do that, we can compete with anybody in the country. But the recipe of winning football games never changes. So if you do make those mistakes, you do turn the ball over, you do have stupid penalties, guess what? You're not going to come out on top.
No, you're not. Absolutely. And the rest of the schedule, Coach, it goes home against Ashland. We go to Walsh, which will be interesting, but the Hall of Fame Stadium. Everybody knows about the fiasco that happened at the Hall of Fame game, but they won't be playing there. And then Michigan Tech and Findlay at home, a couple road games at Northwood and Lake Erie. Then we finish up at home against Northern Michigan. And as you said it, Coach, the schedule is an absolute bear every single year because we're playing football in the best conference in the country. And if you're going to win, you might as well go out and beat the best.
Exactly right.
Well, his name's Coach Gary Goff. If you would like more information on Tiffin University football, you go to gotiffindragons.com, click on the football link. If you'd like more information on Tiffin University, you go to tiffin.edu. We will be out here every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m., except for next week because we will be up in Grand Valley bringing a Dragon victory home. Late night, bus ride home. We get home late on Thursday night, and I think we have soccer to do on Friday morning, so it's going to be a no-sleep week for us. But if we keep winning football games, I'll pass on the sleep. I'll take care of it come, December when everything's all said and done. But, Coach, we'll do this every week. We'll have a good time doing it, and we'll get some more players out here. We'll do some giveaways going. We'll get some interaction with the crowd. But today was our trial run, and wanted to get things set up and get things taken care of, and I think we got through it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what a great atmosphere, and really appreciate Buffalo Wild Wings for letting us come out here and have this show weekly. And we're going to have a night practice tonight.
Yeah, so tell the folks what's going on.
Yeah, we got practice tonight, kind of a game rehearsal under the lights. And so, our practices are always open for anybody to come out and watch us. But, normally we have a lot of players here. We mentioned earlier we had about 17 of our players work here throughout the summer. But those guys ought to be getting taped and getting ready to hit the field here in about 30 minutes. So
yeah, so it'll be a little crowded when there's not a practice going on shortly after the program, the next starting in a couple of weeks. So if you want to be out here for the Gary Goff Show, I suggest getting out here early. Make sure you take care of your servers, your bartenders, and wear your Dragon gear when you come out here, because all that does is help support Tiffin University Athletics, Tiffin University football, and what we do at WTUD. Coach, thank you so much for your time. Coach, head coach, and the offense coordinator, defense coordinator, all making on the program today, and it was a great time. So let's do it again in 2 weeks.
Appreciate it.
All right, this has been the Gary Goff Show. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll do it in 2 weeks. Until then, thank you so much, and go Dragons.